This show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings and, of course, to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Yeah, so this is going to be a great call. We've been covering a lot of the what to do's and how to do it. And a lot of it's just theory, right? Because you're hearing some guy on a screen say it, but like transitioning or transferring that into the real world, that doesn't always, play out the way sometimes that you think it would, or you'd want it to, or the way you saw it in your mind. And then you don't even know if this stuff's going to work, right? You're just watching, listening, learning. And like I said, you're still trying to calculate, like taking it into a real world scenario. So I have people asking me all the time. They're like, do you have any scripts that we could follow? Do you have any scripts? And I don't use scripts at all. I don't issue scripts. I don't type them out. I don't write them up, because I want people to learn by doing, right? If you do what we're talking about, and you do what we're saying, and you get us on the phone with people, we will make the magic happen. So I wanted to introduce you guys tonight to a friend of mine that I've been working with for a couple of years now. He was doing traditional real estate, and he called me one night, maybe a year ago or so. And he was asking me about land. He said, hey, I've been seeing what you've been doing with land, and I'm interested, what can I do to get involved? And I just gave him like 5 minutes on it. I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't really hear back from him. I didn't hear anything, at all. I think he would text me every now and then asking a couple questions. But then in the last, I think 90 days or something, he brought me a big deal that we ended up contracting for 1.74 mil. And then he brought me another one that we're signing up for 1.2 mil, or 1.2 something and some change. And we went out, talked to the seller, everything was ready to go on it. And now the seller's saying that he thinks he would like to get more money. So he pushed up the price some $200,000 or so. And we went out there today to the property to talk to the guy. And it's like everything that we've been talking about and learning in this group all came into play today. It all became super relevant. And usually you use a lot of these closes and a lot of these phrases and sales tactics sporadically, right? Spread out through different scenarios. But today we covered everything all in one shot. So it was a pretty unique meeting, and it was cool. I wish I could have recorded it. I wish there was a camera in the room, but since there wasn't a camera in the room, I invited my boy Mike to get on here and actually speak with us tonight and tell us about how today went, just so you guys can hear a real world scenario of what this knowledge and information does when you get yourself into a sales situation. Are you there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's up, man?
Going. What's up, everybody?
Hey, yeah, so I want you guys to meet Mike, because Mike is the primo example of what happens when somebody starts to do work, when they take action, when they stop trying to figure it out, stop trying to learn everything, stop trying to have analysis paralysis. Mike is what happens when you just go out there and you just get the damn stuff done. So I think it's okay if I told you guys, like I said, he's a friend of mine, that he doesn't know a whole lot about land. He doesn't know a whole lot about, what we're doing in this group, but he went out immediately and he combined both of us locked up like roughly $4 million worth of property, right under $4 million worth of property in 2 deals. And we went out to the property today to talk to the seller who thinks he needs 200,000 more now than we have already agreed upon. And I wanted you guys to hear about how today's conversation went, so you can get some ideas as far as negotiating goes, and then how you could tee up these types of sellers. So when you do get into a situation where we're moving into the close, you know what you can say and different things that you can bring up. So you want to kind of tell them about a little bit about how today went, Mike? When we got out to the property, we drove around. And,
sure. I was, to be honest with you, I was kind of excited to see how you were going to deal with them, because I've known you for a while now, and I've never actually been in a situation where we were together and seen you talk to somebody, build rapport and all that stuff. So I was watching to see what you're, I know a little bit. I can, build rapport with people. It's just, it comes natural sometimes it doesn't, it's a little harder than. So anyways, after we toured the property, we're just still kind of bullshitting. And then, we start talking about price, and Anthony just straight up, tells him, well, I think I'm pretty stuck at this price, and kind of just backs up a little bit. And you could see it in the guy's face. And I was like, oh shit. All right, here it comes.
Let me preface this real quick.
Go ahead.
When we were first going to start talking, I told the guy, I said, I don't think I'm going to be interested at your new price, because the guy emails us a new price that he wants. And I said, I'm good. I'm ready to go at the price that we already agreed on. I said, but at the new price, I don't think I'm interested. I don't think I'm going to do it.
Yeah, true. And so at that point, I just kind of wanted to see what the guy would say. And, he just kind of fumbled around a little bit, saying that the reason he did that is because he had a lot of improvements and he put up fences and whatnot. And Anthony, I was waiting to see what he was going to come up with. And he asked him, well, what, I think he asked him what his, what was it? Your capital rate or capital gains tax rate or whatever.
If he considered what he's gonna, the property's gonna end up costing him in capital gains. Because I asked him first if he was gonna 1031 the property. He said no. Right. And I said, have you? I said, what? So what are you planning on paying? About 21% capital gains?
Yeah, and then he said, I think he said 14. So I mean, I know nothing about that, and I'm just kind of like, oh shit, cool, starting to get interesting. And at that point, he's like, okay, no, 14. And then Anthony's like, okay, cool, so what are your plans? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with that money? And he started talking about he wants to look for other property. And at that point, I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I know there was a few other points where he told him, well, what kind, he's like, well, what are you going to invest in? He said, well, I want to buy property or, possibly invest in something else. And Anthony asked him, what are you going to do with your money? How are you going to invest? And he brought up the fact that he had a $1 million CD that he was making 2% on. And that, that wasn't making him anything. So Anthony said, well, hey, what we can do also is possibly seller finance the deal, where you can, you make, well, no, my bad. Let me back up. He asked him if you could invest $1 million, what kind of return would you want on it? And he's like, well, at least 8%. And Anthony was like, we can do 8% all day long. So at that point, he started asking him, we could do seller finance and still pay you 8% where you're not paying capital gains tax, on that property at the moment. And then you can pull it out whenever you want. And then he said, what if we had other deals that you might be interested in investing in? And at that point, he kind of had his attention a little bit more. And at that point, I guess I saw the transition where the guy went from a sale to almost like, okay, it's not just a sale, it's another opportunity for him to make money. It turned into a business conversation at that point. And that kind of excited me because I didn't exactly know what was going on, but I knew where we were going. You know what I mean? Like I didn't understand exactly what he was saying, but I knew that it went from, hey, sell me your land to sell me your land and invest with me and let's make money together. And to me, I was like, holy shit, like that's amazing because, it switched everything around. It wasn't me trying to kill him on his price or Anthony try to hit him on his price, but hey, let's work together. You make money, we make money, and everybody's happy. And let's work out the deal. Let's make it happen. And then at that point, he was like, well, let me talk to my wife. Being in sales for a while, you kind of know and you see and read body language and hope that you're right, that they're going to move forward. And that's the kind of idea I got when we left. And me and Anthony kind of talked about that, where it looked like he's going to call me in a few days. At least that's what we're praying for. But either way, it was just exciting to see and hear those new closing techniques and have new weapons to use when you're in that conversation. And now I still just have to do my homework to be able to use them if ever, Anthony's not around to close that deal. Pretty simple. Well, not simple. But it was just cool to watch. I ain't gonna lie, I was pretty excited just seeing the process and adding those other tools to my toolbox because they're important to have. It could have just went, well, you know what? Think about it and I'll talk to you later. But there was that extra like, well, hey, let's just not just talk about price. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about what we can do together. And I'll save you money, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but we can do it. I can help you make money in the future. And to me, that's big because it's all about not just you making money. It's about everybody making money, because then you just become more powerful and you put more money in the bank by helping other people put money in the bank. And I'm all about that because I used to think that doing it by yourself was the way, and that just keeps you poor. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be greedy and saving money, trying not to bring people in on your deals like that. Just for me, that never worked. And I just said, you know what? Screw this shit. I need help. There's a bunch of pieces to my puzzle missing, and I need help. And me and Anthony caught a phone call one day, And I started thinking about the numbers we were talking about, and it kind of just changed my life in that 5 minutes, because I'm like, I'm working way too fucking hard for pennies. You know, you got to just, and it took me about a year to kind of find a deal, but really he hit the nail on the head when he said analysis paralysis, because I was thinking for about 7 months about what to do and how to do it. And finally I just took action, and I'm not going to lie to you, by the grace of God, the minute I hit that button, I got my first phone call. And it's just amazing to kind of see what's happened in the past, 60 to 90 days, what taking action does. So thank you for letting me say that.
Dude, thank you for actually having the guts to do it. I know it hurts, and I know it feels weird to make the phone calls and do the marketing. I know what it feels like, right? I've been in that seat before, but yeah, Mike is he's the perfect example of what happens when you just stop thinking about it and just pull the trigger. And then something that Daniel and myself have been harping on in this group for a long time is you don't even need all the tools. You don't need the whole formula. What you need to do is you need to convince yourself to pick up the phone or send a text message, and that's it. And then you said, learn comps on YouTube, make sure you got a decent price, and that's it. Then you bring us in, you bring in the hammer, you bring in the money, you bring in everything else. Very, very little to know about the back end process. So I want to kind of break this down a little bit more. Do you have time to hang out for a little bit, Mike?
Sure.
Okay. If you got a bell, just let me know, but feel free to also chime in, interrupt me. Just like if you think of something that, that just brings to your attention, just go ahead and just jump right back in.
Actually, I'd like to say one thing, if you don't mind.
What's that?
I'd like to say one thing, if you don't mind.
Please. Yeah.
So when I talked to Anthony, I guess a year or so ago, I just said I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to market on the internet. I've been on Facebook for a while, and I've kind of just survived a little bit doing real estate deals there. I had my realtor license for about 16 years. And I finally said, screw it. I need to do something, because I'm not doing anything at this moment. So I started with bandit signs, putting them out on 1604. And I started getting phone calls. You know what I mean? I got one deal. It was this guy selling 3 acres, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I started talking to him, learning a little bit, and I couldn't sell it. And then I got another call off the sign, and this guy was selling 4 acres. And I literally, it's been like almost a year and a half. I'm still selling those damn 4 acres. Okay. And today I'm about to contract the first 2 acres off of that property, just because it finally happened. So from there, I got calls on another property, and it just kind of started escalating back and forth to 10 acres. I sold those 10 acres. Lady down the street called me off that sign. Hey, what are they selling for? Now she's, we're about to put her property under contract. And it just kind of, I got tired of putting out signs, right? But I know I get phone calls. So if the property's sitting there, I go put out signs, I get calls, the property gets sold. And I literally have my Suburban full of 50 signs right now that I was going to go pull out, because I need to get those 10 acres off my books, right? And we went to go show this property. And after we were done, and I heard about the $1 million and 8% and making money and borrowing money and throwing it here and putting it there. And I was like, fuck those signs. I don't even want to go put them out anymore. But I already spent the money. I already spent a few hours getting them ready. I put out a few, and I ran out of time because I was going to come do this. So I'm going back out tomorrow to put out those signs anyways. But it just blew my mind that, I was telling my friend this morning, what I like about life
during your morning meditation and prayer.
Yeah, during my morning meditation and prayer, actually, we talk about manifestation. And one of the things that I thought about when I was there was, hey, I need to be able to borrow $10 million so I could find the land and buy as much as I can, right? And that was one of the things that blew my mind, because when he started talking about money, they both connected there. And I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. That's the way, how quickly things happen. And, I guess all I can say is just take action, man. I'm just grateful that I was telling my friend also that every now and then you get a piece of the puzzle. Anthony gave me a tip a year ago about buying land and cutting it up, and it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, that's my next investment. That's what I'm going to learn about. That's what I'm going to do. I did my homework. And then I was telling her a few days ago, I said, hey, look, I'm excited because I got one deal under contract, but now I'm like looking ahead in the future. What's that next idea? What's that next investment that's going to come along? That next tip I'm going to get when I talk to somebody new. And when I heard Anthony talking to him about capitalization rates and borrowing money and lending money and making 8 points, I was like, holy crap, that's a whole nother business. And I knew at that moment, like, holy shit, like that's another investment opportunity where, of course, once we have money, we can do so. But it just, things happen funny. And just want to say thank you, bro. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the tip. Thank you for the teaching me those little things today too. Like, cause it feeds me, man. And like, it gets me excited to go find another deal, which matter of fact, I got another one, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, dude, no, thank you for taking the action, man, and for just listening. Like I said, like, we're on these meetings and calling. Daniel and myself have been on these calls for almost 2 years now, and it's frustrating, because people say like, I don't want to ask a dumb question, and it's cliche, but you say like the only question you don't, the dumb question is the one you don't ask.
Mhm.
So I had a guy today I was just talking to before this call. He said, I'm gonna have a bunch of dumb questions, and I said, dude, I'm gonna sound dumb. I said, dude, there's no way to sound dumb when you're asking a question. I said, you know what sounds dumb to me? Silence. Because you have a question and then you're too afraid to ask it, right? So that's what sounds dumb. So no, dude, I just appreciate you taking the action and kicking butt, and then for coming on here and sharing that with the group. It really does go to show you guys is that, when you do have a hive, you have a network of people that can back you up and support you, exchange knowledge with you, right? You put in the hard work by going out and getting the deals, and then we come in on the back end and then do what we're trained to do. And it's a perfect partnership. It's a perfect marriage. Like we couldn't be doing these deals without you, right? Because you went out, you found them, you did the hard work. Now it's time for us to do the stuff that we do on the backside and make the deals happen. So I just want to further break down a little bit about how this deal went. Like I said, if you come up with something or get inspired to share something, just pop right back in. Okay. The seller, we talked about this a lot on these calls, is that these sellers, they don't need the money, right? And so in the whole entire 99% of the real estate investors out there, they're looking for a motivated seller, right? But in this room, in this group, we're looking for non-motivated sellers specifically, right? And I think they're easier to deal with. And this is something we got on a call, to kind of like deload after the meeting, to just talk about what happened. And I was telling Mike, I said, when you have an intelligent seller, they're easier to close, right? Everybody in this room, if you're doing deals, you've dealt with a seller before that's not very intelligent, and they're just kind of like, they're motivated. They got themselves into some kind of financial trouble, and they're harder to negotiate with for their, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything like that. I don't mean to demean anybody, but if they're lacking a certain amount of intellectual technology, they're harder to close and they're harder to negotiate with, just because they don't have the tools to kind of, I guess, share that information back and forth with. So this guy specifically, he indicated that he had quite a few properties and that he had $1 million put away in a CD, so he's doing okay for himself. He's not, I guess he's not super wealthy, but he's doing okay for himself. But red flag for me is he has a $1 million CD at 2% interest, gaining 2% interest, right? So that was a little, notch in our little tool in our belt that we could pull out later. But I always mention in this group, I say it over and over and over again, is to always ask the seller what they plan to do with the money. And I know what that sounds like. So I know the people in this room are thinking like, oh man, I don't want to ask that. That's a hard question. I don't want the guy to get mad at me and hang up on me. It's probably the single most important question that you can ask a seller, right? Especially if they're savvy, especially if they have investments, especially if they have a lot of money in their pocket. So I already knew what I was going to do. I knew he was too high. He's trying to like back out of the deal after we had already agreed on it. I've never met the guy in person. So the first thing I did is I told Mike, I said, hey, I need to get face to face with this guy. You can have these types of conversations over the phone. It still would have been okay. But specifically, if the guy's in San Antonio, I'm going to get in front of him. So I said, get me in front of this guy. Let's go walk the property tomorrow. He sent us that email late last night that he wanted to change the price. So we get out there. I already knew where I was going to go. We're driving the property. So I'm trying to find excuses to lower my price, right? So the dirt it's sandy. The entrances are kind of funny, the way that they are. The back entrance is off of a private road, not off of the county road. So that's concerning from a subdivide perspective. I'm asking these leading questions, like just having him, without saying the property's crap, and I never talk bad about it. I always tell him how amazing the property is. But I'm asking these leading questions, knowing at the end of the conversation where I'm going to take this guy. So right now, I'm loving the property. I'm telling him how cool it is. But in the back of my mind, I'm going to end up telling him that I don't want the property at his new price, right? Because he's the one that changed the deal. I didn't. So we get back to the area where the garage is, and we get off the truck and we start talking. And I said, man, I really like the property. I really want to do this deal with you. I told him, but I'm not going to buy it at your new price. It's exactly what I said. I said, I'm ready to do this deal today. We'll sign the contract today at the price we already agreed on. I'm not going to buy it at the new price. I said, at least I'm not going to buy it by myself at the new price. I said, if I'm going to buy it at that price, I said, I'm going to bring in a partner, because I'm not going to take on all this risk for this property at that price. I'm just not interested. I said, so if you're stuck on that number, that's why I'm going to have to get this property in front of quite a few of my partners to see if we can JV on this deal. I said, because I'm not going to give you the amount you want out of my pocket. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not interested at that price at all. So what did I do there? Massive takeaway. I'm ready to walk away from the deal at your new price. I set it up to bring in a new buyer, right? A new a partner, somebody else that's going to bring the capital. I'm not going to put my capital into this deal at that price. I don't want to carry the risk, right? And he immediately kind of got a sense for what I'm saying. And I said, just think about it. I said, sleep on it for a little while, talk to your wife about it. And then maybe we can revisit at a future time. I said, we're in no hurry to buy. It sounds like you're in no hurry to sell. I said, so yeah, just let us know what we can do if there's anything we can do in the future. So what happens is when you're in a sales situation with somebody, they're going to start to bow up on you, right? Because he half expected us to come in like a regular wholesaler would and start beating them up on the price. Well, it needs a roof. The bathrooms look like crap. I'm going to need to buy cabinets. The house is a piece of junk. I'm going to need a discount, right? So, and this, when you do that to a seller, they start to bow up. All their defenses come up because now you're talking bad about what they own, right? It's like if somebody says, hey, your car's a piece of junk, it make you feel bad. You're not your own car, but it'll make you feel bad if they're talking bad about your possessions, your property, right? You don't know what the backstory is on that house. Maybe he raised his kids in the house. Maybe it was his grandma's house. So if you start to talk bad about the property, he's immediately going to bow up on you and he's going to get prepared to defend himself, right? And when somebody's in that fight or flight part of their brain, they're not ready to negotiate. They're not ready to talk numbers. They're ready to fight or flight, which means they're ready to end the sales situation. They're ready to move on. They're ready to hang up on you. They're ready to ask you to leave the property. I'm good. I'm just going to hang on to it. So the way that you diffuse that person immediately is you tell them, it's called a takeaway in sales and sales psychology. It's called a takeaway. So you say, I'm not buying this property. I'm not going to buy it. So what happens is the guy immediately, he cannot be bowed up anymore. In his mind, psychologically, he's not preparing to defend himself because you already told him, I'm not prepared to fight you. I'm not prepared to engage into this conversation. I'm not prepared to engage into this sales situation. I'm done. I'm not going to buy this property. So boom, now all the walls come down. Now he's ready to negotiate. Now he's not in his fight or flight brain. Now he's back into his intellectual part of his brain, right? Because he wants to, he's good. He knows it's not going to work anymore. So he's already like been disarmed. Now we can talk numbers. Okay. You saw what happened there to his brain, to his psychologically, like what happened. He's not ready to argue with me because I already told him I'm not going to buy it. So now I immediately dig back in and I said, I would still like to do the deal at that price that we've already agreed on, the one we sent you the contract on. We're ready to do that deal right this second. And he wanted to close a few months earlier. I said, and we can close on your timeline. That's not a problem. And now I go in and say, look, I bought a property before and it was a sandy lot and it took me a really long time to sell it. All right. I think your price is probably fair 6 months ago, but now moving into the new economy that we're moving into, prices are going to fall and they're going to continue to fall for a few years. So if I buy this sand lot, which is already a challenging sell at the very top of market right now today, I might get stuck with this thing for a year, 2 or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. So, and I'm not prepared to do that. So if I am going to buy it, I'm going to buy it with a partner. I'm going to use somebody else's funds, and then bringing in a partner is going to reduce the profit on my side. Right. So if I bring in third-party capital, that's going to cost me money. So now the deal gets even skinnier again. So let me ask you this. What are you going to do with the money? I said, are you going to buy something else? Are you going to buy something new? Yeah, I'm going to look for some more land, maybe up by Kerrville, and I'm probably going to end up buying out there. Perfect. Have you already identified a property? Are you going to do a 1031? No, I kind of don't want to be locked into that timeline. So I'm not going to 1031 it. I'm going to end up just having the cash liquid. So that way, when I find something, I can pull the trigger on it immediately. I said, so kind of like for investment, investment and, something that I want for my own personal home. I said, okay. I said, so, roughly you're looking at paying 21% capital gains. And I said, maybe $200,000. And he was like, well, he goes, it's probably going to be closer to 15%. And I said, okay. I said, so 150, 200,000. Yeah. And I said, is that why you raised your price 200,000? Right. So you knew you were going to take a $200,000 hit and you're trying to sell it to me. You're trying to make me pay your taxes. I didn't say that, but that's what I insinuated. Right. He's like, no, it's not that. Said, okay, look, I think I know what's going on here. I said, I think you're just trying to maximize your profit. I said, you're not trying to make us pay your taxes. You're not trying to do anything crazy. I said, all you want to do is you want to make the most amount of money possible for this property. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I want to do. Okay. I said, look, I think there's a way for both of us to win in this scenario, right? Without anybody having to take a hit. I said, we're at a very fair price. We're already agreed on. I said, and you just want to make a little bit more, right? Yeah. And you don't have anywhere to place this capital immediately. You're just going to sit on it for a little bit. Yeah. I said, why don't we do this to maximize your profit? I said, why don't we get you a down payment, maybe like 250, maybe 500. I said, and we'll carry the rest on a note for you at about 8% interest. I said, you're getting 2%. What if I get you like 7-8%? And he says, 8%? I'd take that all day. I was like, okay. I said, well, if you're just trying to maximize your profit, I said, we'll be back at that same number we were at, which was about 200,000 less than your last offer. I said, we'll go back to our original number that we already agreed on, right? That's called putting it back on the seller. When you say what we have already agreed on, right? So in that person's mind, they're like, crap, I did already agree to that, right? So now you're kind of you're putting them in an uncomfortable situation saying you have already said yes to this and now you're changing your mind. So I said, let's go back to the number that we already agreed on. Now, if we carry the rest of that paper at 8%, you can start putting some of that money back in your pocket that you were going to lose out on, right? Or that you wanted to make some extra money. We're going to put that back in your pocket now with interest. And I said, and we can get it done quick. We can get it done in a couple years, 3 years, 5 years. He said, yeah, I don't want to hang on to it for very long. And I said, here's the benefit to you. I said, if you're sitting on this paper at a very high interest rate, and then you do find something that you want in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, I said, you can liquidate that property. You can liquidate that mortgage, take your cash out and put it into something different. So I said, your hands aren't tied by any means. I said, and you stand to maximize your profit. I said, so you're winning a bunch of different ways. I said, another thing we can do, I said, if you find the perfect property and it's 300 acres, but you only want 50, I said, we'll buy the 250, you buy the 50. I said, so you can make some upside there. I said, we can help you find properties at a discount, in whatever area you're looking. You tell me the zip code and I'll help you locate your new property and I'll help you find it at a discount below market. I said, so you're not going to lose money by doing business with us. I said, there's no way you could lose money. This is what we do professionally. And then he started getting really excited. And he said, yeah, I do have money parked that I need a place. And that would be good. He says 8% would be amazing. He said, I got to ask my wife. He's like, but I would love that. I'm making 2% right now on $1 million. So the guy really, really opened up. He was really excited about the possibility of investing with us. He saw the benefit of him taking the lower offer. I kind of put him on the spot and told him that he's trying to get us to pay his taxes. So, I mean, he kind of probably felt like, oh, shoot, like this guy caught me trying to manipulate the price. So lots and lots and lots of wins today. I wish there was a camera there. It was just perfect textbook negotiations, perfect textbook setup. It's everything we teach, everything we've been talking about for months now on this call. And that was it, man. That's what I wanted you guys to hear from Mike. And I wanted you to share with you how these negotiations go. And again, you can't get there until you start marketing and start reaching out to these people and get us on the phone. Let us help you come in and let us help you do the magic.
Hey guys, we hope you're enjoying this content. If you have leads that you need to dispo anywhere in the country, please visit hivebc.io, like hivebuyersclub.io, and we'll help you move those deals that you need to get into the marketplace.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.1listguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.